Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and welcome to Conscious Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Linda Summers, and we've got a great show for you today. Our topic is 4 ways to jumpstart your health now with Angela Kenmegne. So before we bring Angie on board, I'd like to read her background and give a little bit of information about her to you. Angie is a native of Atlanta, Georgia, is a devout vegan wife, mother, and entrepreneur. She has made it her mission to help women create sustainable weight loss and wellness experiences using whole food sources via holistic means while healing their relationships with food. She has taught women from various backgrounds the science of food combining that triggers sustainable weight loss, weight release, while healing the body in a manner that creates lifelong wellness. Her approach embodies the belief that all women are unique and create their own version of sexy. Angie has an extensive background in nutrition and physical fitness that has allowed her to compete as a bodybuilding figure competitor in a natural league in recent years. Coupled with a medical career that spans over 15 years, her knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences making her a driving motivational force as an expert in the health, wellness, and weight loss industries. Her first book, Think and Thin, A Revolutionary Guide to Weight Loss Mindset, is scheduled to be released soon. This motivational literary work meshes the law of attraction and weight loss together in a manner that creates a mindset geared towards realizing weight loss results. Awesome. And with that, I'd like to welcome Angie to the show. Hi, Angie.
Hi, Linda. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome, and I'm glad that you're able to be on the show because this is such a perfect time because every beginning of the year, you know, it's the same old thing. We're going to do a New Year's resolution. 3 months into it, we fail to, to keep our goals and things like that. And you're here to really help us make this a lifelong, not I would say goal, but a lifelong journey, a process of really, because we only get one body, so why not take care of it, right?
Absolutely. And when it comes down to making resolutions, at some point we have to decide that, we're no longer going to be that person that continues to resolve to do the same thing every year, especially when we've been given, a whole 365 days to actually get the initial resolution complete.
Yes. Which is so interesting because we do have that, but why wait till the first of the year? I think it's like brushing your teeth. We brush our teeth every morning, every night. It just becomes part of what we do for our health. So why not do that with food? I mean, I'm guilty of this. So, so I just love that this is just a great topic, and it really is not about, I don't want to say just dieting because it really is more than that. This is really taking a deeper look at yourself, which you're just the perfect person for this. So let's jump in and let's just really start talking about what does total wellness look like? Because you talk about that, but what does that look like?
Mm-hmm. That is such a great question because I think more and more nowadays people are actually connecting health and wellness and making it into one thing. But the two are actually very, very different. And when it comes to health in and of itself speaks about separate body systems. It speaks about whether a system in your body, whether it's your pulmonary system, whether it's your cardiac system, it speaks in terms of separate systems and their ability to function optimally. When you're talking about wellness, though, wellness meshes that health together with what's happening with your soul and also what's happening with your mind. So being in a state of total wellness is your mind running optimally, all of your body systems being healthy, and your soul being in a place to where you're doing what makes you happy and what feels good to you. That is what real wellness is.
Well, I love what you said because this is so true, and I know I can speak for myself, but I'm sure a lot of people out there, of the cardiac and the pulmonary, you don't really know, we just take it for granted that our bodies they operate, right? They just do what they're supposed to do. But it's just like that saying, you are what you eat, and so we don't really, I didn't take it seriously until I started having my own issues, which we've talked about, but So I think that's such an important aspect to bring in of total wellness. It's just, you know what I mean? It really is taking in all of it together.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I love that. So I think that's just, you know, to bring all that together into a complete package, so to speak. And so when you talk about integrative health coach, how did you really become this? Was this due to your background in the medical field?
So partly, yes. One of the things that I noticed over the years that I've been a medical professional, which at this point is a little more than about 15 years, I noticed that more and more the patient population that I was starting to serve or being able to serve were having issues that could easily be fixed, or I thought could easily be fixed with some diet changes, some simple changes in their lifestyle even. And so this made me turn my attention to, you know, is there any specialized training for people who would want to help people do that? And I stumbled upon the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, where individuals like Sanjay Gupta, like Deepak Chopra, were actually teaching courses about integrative health. And in doing so, they taught us, you know, over 100 different dietary theories, as well as several different meditative techniques, deep breathing exercises that are able to change a person's blood pressure, so many different things that made it such an amazing integrative program, and I was able to be certified from that particular program that's based out of New York. And at the time, it was the largest nutrition school in the world, so they've got students worldwide, and it's just an amazing, amazing experience. Having the knowledge that I had in medical school, you know, medical school doesn't teach nutrition. And I know on a regular basis people go to their doctor. Just today, several people inboxed me saying, you know, hey, here again, I was put on another medication. Why can't they help me with my food? And I always have to let them know that it's not something that they're keeping from you. They simply do not have it to give to you. They do not have the knowledge or the expertise to give you that information, because it is not something that's typically covered in a medical school. You have to be someone who reaches for alternative sources, alternative training, and the Institute for Integrative Nutrition offered me that.
Right. Well, when you talk about integrative health, I kind of want to get back to that. So I have clarity for myself and as well as the listeners. So you're talking about it's mixing the body, mind, and spirit, basically. Is that what you really kind of mean? Okay.
Yes, and it's uniting all of the pieces that make you well, whether it's your movement, whether it's your ability to stay motivated, whether it's your meals, what you're eating, how you're eating, when you're eating it, and it's your ability to maintain everything. Integrative health and integrative health coaches help you mesh or unite all of those things together so that you can get well and stay that way. Right.
And when you talk about nutrition as well, so how much does what we consume affect our health? That's a really interesting, I don't know, I just find it really fascinating. Like what we consume can really affect our health. So how much of that does affect our health?
You literally are what you eat. And I say that because you know, the body turns over new cells all the time. For instance, your liver turns over new cells every 5 months. Your blood, you create new blood cells about every 4 months. Your bones take a little bit longer. They're about 10 years. But when we think about these things, the cells are literally made from the foods that you feed it. And so when your body is creating new cells over the years as you age, believe it or not, the quality of those cells as you age, the quality of those cells are automatically going to decline, automatically. And so how much more because of your age, because we age. So the quality of the cells the bone cells that you were making to grow your long bones when you were 7 years old, those cells, you know, if you're 50, 60, the quality of those cells as they change every 10 years are going to be less. What you eat makes these cells. So if you're not giving your body nutrient-dense foods on a regular basis as you age or as you progress in age, and that doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, the cells that are being made simply are not as strong as they could be. And so it makes sense for us to turn our attention to what's on our plate. So, now the average person in their 50s has about 5 different disease processes, things that are wrong with them. And this is because throughout the years, they don't apply this. They don't, pay, meticulous attention to the quality of what they're putting in their body.
Well, and true, we know that the soil and all the pesticides being sprayed on our food is, really has a big hindrance on that as well. But one thing you had mentioned, when you talk about the cells and the nutrients and things like that, what if you are eating properly, you're eating all the good stuff, but you're still finding that your body is not absorbing the minerals like it should be?
When you're having issues with absorption, one of the things that your attention needs to immediately go to is your gut. And when it comes to your ability to absorb things well, there's something that's going on right now, and a lot of people suffer with it, and it is something called leaky gut, among other things like irritable bowel syndrome. But all of these different types of things that happen with the gut, eventually over time you'll have problems with other body systems because you're not able to absorb the nutrients that you're getting. Now, there are a few things that actually can be done to increase the absorption, and one of those things is to take a digestive enzyme. Make sure that what you're eating is being broken down, as much as possible, and the enzyme will help you do that. Another thing that can be done is that you get your food, number one, it's close to its original state, and then especially your fruits and vegetables, actually juice them down or put them in smoothie form so that you know that it's already broken down. Once it hits your body's going to be ready to absorb it. Give it the greatest chance possible of being absorbed. Don't leave it to chance of your stomach breaking it down the way that it should. Okay, and I don't mean not to ever eat solid food, but I do mean that your attention needs to go more to things that are already broken down. And then proper supplementation needs to take place. And that's some controversial information. They say supplements don't work. The reality of it is research shows that 90% of them don't work. 10% of them do. And, when you're having issues with absorption, it's worth finding something in that 10% that actually works for you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, so what, you hear in the wintertime you should eat a lot more warm foods, in the summertime a lot more of the cold foods. What's your thoughts on, when we're taking different foods and smoothies, say, and doing, because you were talking about juicing and stuff like that, is it really good for the body to have all that cold, like your raw vegetables and things like that? Mm-hmm. Or just reversing that and like being raw in summer and the steamed vegetables in the winter?
Mm-hmm. So here's what I say about the especially the smoothies. When you're taking in cold things in the winter, typically, you're supposed to eat for the season, so you prepare your body to eat not only foods that are warmer, foods that are much richer, and also one of the things that people may not be aware of is the fact that your weight should naturally increase just a little bit in the wintertime because you want that extra layer. It should. But people are so bent on actually dropping weight all the time that they pay attention to, they give so much emphasis to the scale that they're not paying too much attention to what the body systems and the overall picture. Here's what I have to say to that, though. As long as you're not spending your entire winter eating cold things, so you can do this for short periods of time, and it will be just fine. But when you eat them for an extended period of time, like, for instance, people will go on a green smoothie cleanse, and I've known people that will start around this time of year where it's cold where they are, and they will continue it through the summer. That's a problem. Yeah. That's too long. Wow. That's too long. And it can be a problem with getting all the nutrients that you actually need, because many people go on the cleanses for this extended period of time and they don't properly supplement. that is such a big elimination diet. It's just not it's not wise to do it unless you have all of the information, all of the pieces. You could actually throw your body systems off and really put yourself in a depleted state if you're not careful. And
wow.
so anytime I offer a cleanse, I offer personal support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So can we talk
anytime
about
I offer cleanse, I offer personal support to make sure that the clients that are a part of that are getting the information that they need. Yeah.
Right.
And so having a cleanse done for a short period of time, 20 days or less is great. Short periods of time is amazing. But here again, there's people that have been on it for years and they claim that they don't have any issues, but I question what they're using to measure, no issues with, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. So I have a couple questions, but because cleanse, because there's so many different cleanses, right? So that's one of my questions. But before I even do that, can we talk about, or can you mention the 7-day Diva Cleanse, or do you?
Absolutely. And so now, the Diva I recently launched the Diva Wellness Network, and it is a network that unites women together in wellness throughout the world. And what this has done, to kick it off, cleanse. And the reason why I started this cleanse was because it will allow the participants, the people there, to be able to really unite, really clear out their body systems, get more energy, and to refocus themselves for the year. Because in many cases, a lot of the things that we take in have toxins and byproducts that actually cloud our thinking. And so in uniting these women together, I thought this was an amazing way to do so. And so it's the 7-day Diva Cleanse, and it is still happening. Some women are already on their 7th day. Some of them actually started it early. As soon as they grabbed their download, they started it. But for anyone interested in joining that download, there is private Facebook group support by me, and they can download their shopping list. They can download all of the recipes as well as a strict schedule for the meals and hydration, because that's very important. They can download it by texting the word cleanse to 678-585-6229. And again, they can text the word cleanse to 678-585-6229, and I'll immediately text them back with a link to be able to get what they need and give them access to the group.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just got it yesterday, so I'm looking forward to doing it. And I saw the smoothies, which kind of brings me to the next question of cleanse, because there are so many cleanses, right? So how do you define, when we talk about going on a cleanse, what does that look like for you and what you do with helping other people?
Exactly. And so there's so many different cleanses out there. And I have to say this, I was one of those people who always did a cleanse, and I was also one of those people who always lost my results. My focus was in the wrong place. And I think that when we think about cleansing, the reason there's so many different ones, I think that one of the common denominators for all of them is that the participants, in many cases, their focus is in the wrong place. They cleanse out of a place of desperation. They want to catch up and lose some pounds, shrink their waistline because of all the damage that has been done around the holidays or because the summer's coming up. But when you cleanse, the cleanses that I leave, one of the things that I majorly do is to make sure that I'm nailing down healthy habits that I can keep for the rest of my life. And so everything about this cleanse, whether it's a hydration schedule, whether it's, which smoothies to take in, the recipes are strategic. There's a reason why there's not oatmeal in your smoothie in the morning, but it is in your smoothies in later on in the day. There's a reason why this is happening, and that is why that is how I typically cleanse. It's very strategic in everything that's being done.
So is it more of because I didn't get a chance to look at the whole thing, I just got the smoothie one yesterday, so is it more of a liquid cleanse where you're drinking, but you're getting all the nutrients and all what you need within the stuff that you're putting in there? Is that what
Absolutely.
you're saying? Okay.
Yes, it is a liquid diet, and the reason it is that type of diet, you take a smoothie in every 2 to 3 hours. It's a schedule. You take a specific recipe in every 2 to 3 hours, and then there is a hydration schedule that allows you to drink water about every 30 minutes before your next meal. And so you are constantly drinking, and for people that are not used to this, yes, it will, fire up your kidneys and cause you to go to the restroom. But the one thing, too, that it's also doing is flushing out those inflamed areas. It's giving your digestive system a real chance to rest while your liver does a real clean out of everything that you've been taking in, especially around this time of year.
Right. Which makes sense. I mean, especially if you're doing it every 2 to 3 hours. So, wow, I love that. So let's go to the next question. So as an entrepreneur, is it difficult for people to eat healthy all the time and exercise regularly? I mean, we have, we're busy schedules and, it's the weather and, we have all these excuses. So what would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, and the fact that we live in the wonderful United States, you can just call and someone will bring you something. There's such a convenience factor there that, it makes it that much harder to turn your attention to, making sure that you have everything you need as far as your nutrients is concerned. But here's what I say to the entrepreneurs, because these are the women that I serve, virtual CEOs, women that live that laptop lifestyle, and they're used to outsourcing everything. It's online, whether it's in their city, but they're used to outsourcing everything. And health is something that you cannot outsource. Yeah. And it is something that deserves your undivided attention, especially when it comes to your legacy. So it's one of those things where you have to turn your attention to it as a CEO. It's the thing that's happening whether you give it attention or not. It's the thing that you've got to start looking at and paying some attention to. And all too often, many of the entrepreneurs and the CEOs, they feel like they have to choose. They have a saying that says, I'd rather be tired than broke. And what is then we question the quality of life when you're wealthy. How does that matter if every time the seasons change you're sick? You're either in the hospital or you have a cold. Your systems are just not functioning properly. So it's you have to turn your attention to that too. And the first thing to do is not feel like you have to choose, because you don't have to choose between your wealth and your health. You can have them both.
Yes. Well, and they say the number one asset is your health, that you cannot live without. You know what I mean? It really is, because if you don't have your health, then you're really you can't do anything. You're really kind of stuck. It's your career, successful career or anything. So I love that. Well, where does one start to become well and whole?
The first thing that has to happen for anyone to even begin a journey that will allow them to be well and remain whole in a way that is sustainable, because it's not, not something that's going to be up and down. They literally have to decide that they are that person. They literally have to decide that they will no longer be the person who is, on this roller coaster of health. And in order to do that, the environment that we're in, the things that we're around, the people that we're around plays a big part in that. If we're constantly around other entrepreneurs who hustle, and eat what they can when they can, it's going to be very difficult to be healthy. At some point, we have to decide that the tides have to change, and that is the starting point. That is the tipping point for that person to create, a state of being whole, of being well.
Yeah, and we don't have to wait, is what I hear you saying, too. You don't have to wait until you become ill. It's like starting to make that decision. But, I feel, I can't say by a lot of people, but, I think for the most part, we just kind of wait until something happens, and then we're like, oh, my gosh, now I got to really do something, I know for myself, I've been talking about something for so long, it's like, when am I going to really do this? Am I going to wait until it's really bad before I start to take, and take it seriously, right? Because I think it is important. Your health is the number one thing. So, but, we can say that, but where does it really begin, where we really take that on? Like, what happened with you that made you transition to want to be really doing this? Was there something specific that really got you to where it's like, this is what I'm going to start doing, and I'm going to take my health into my own hands? Or was it just something that's always been for you?
So, no, it's not something that's always been. I wish I could say that, but that's just that is not true, man. That is not true. So, for me, when it comes down to specifics, one of the things that happened with me, and I'll share a quick little bit of my story, is, I was the girl who was, 128 pounds, and right after I had my first son, I was under the impression that I would just bounce back to that 128 pounds, because I was tipping the scale at over 180 pounds. And that's a lot of weight to gain in 9 months.
Yes.
And the baby was only 7 pounds, so he wasn't the cause. so I said, okay, well, what am I going to do about this? And so, like most people, I got to a place of desperation. Because people, and people can be kind of mean. I mean, even though they're kidding, they don't mean to hurt your feelings, but people would still say, oh, you still look pregnant. You still look big. And they didn't know that I just didn't know how to lose the weight. I didn't know how. I didn't know where to begin. But that cut me enough to say, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this off, to get back to where I want to be. And so, I literally went into desperation mode, and I would try anything he told me to try that would help me lose weight. And most of it left me with minimal to no results, drained, depleted, and with less money, because I had to spend my money on it. So for me at least, but I lost some of the weight, and then I decided to go back to medical school as a non-traditional student. My son was 2 at the time, and, I packed on those 30 pounds within the first 2 years. And then I said, okay, when I am done with this, I'm going to turn my strict and under. There's got to be something that I am missing. And if I am missing it, probably many women in the world are missing it too. Yeah. So I'm going to nail down what's going on here, and I'm going to make sure I take that to every woman who wants to listen. And so that is why I have turned my attention to that. And so in doing so, I learned that I had to come out of that place of desperation. I had to stop watching the scales. One of the few of the things that I talked about last night on Periscope was about those non-scale victories, the things that we don't even notice that we should be celebrating. And once I came out of that place of desperation, I was able to get with the people who could help me actually get it under control and get to a place where I felt really, really good in my body, and that hasn't changed in years now.
And absolutely, and what a better way that you experience it yourself, so you know what it's like going through that, and you can share all the knowledge and the wisdom that you've gained around this in order to help people begin this journey, which I love. So what is one thing that you could share with our listeners that has helped you on your journey?
One of the things that has truly helped me, and it actually solved a lot of my issues, is making sure that I stay hydrated. That's a big issue. And I always push hydration because, I work in a field that has not for years allowed us to drink. You're just always moving. And it's so important for you to hydrate. One famous doctor said to his patient, you're not sick, you're thirsty. And that is the reality of it. 75% of people are chronically dehydrated. And they can think of every excuse in the world. They can think of every excuse in the world as to why they shouldn't drink. But when it comes to things like gallstones, things like kidney stones, you're dry. These patients are people are chronically dehydrated and not giving the system what it needs. We are almost 70% water. Our bodies need water on a regular basis and in great amounts. So the one thing I could tell someone out there to clear up, that amount of confusion is that, the body can hold up to 15 liters extra of water per day. 1 gallon is only 4 of those liters. It doesn't make sense for people to be dry. So, so even when someone says I'm drinking a gallon a day, that's really not a lot. It's really not a lot.
Exactly. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. How amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and really gifting what you do, because this is really, like we've talked about, health is the number one asset, and we really, instead of waiting until we have issues coming up in our body, it's really to make that decision, talk to you, and we'll have all your information on the video that all the listeners out there can get in touch with you and get on this Diva, Cleanse program and just really work with you and find out how they can begin this journey. So thank you again really so much for doing what you do. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly enjoyed it.
You're welcome, and thank you for all the listeners out there who joined us today and the ones who will be joining us via YouTube. We thank you so much. Please don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment, and like us, and you can join me next week, January 14th, for the next show. The guides will tell us what to expect this year of 2016 with Sarah Renee. So thank you again, Angela. I really, really appreciate it. It was a pleasure having you on here, and thank you again for all that you're really doing in the world to help people heal emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. So it's just a wonderful thing. So thanks so much. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.